screen is it? Ready?
We're keeping off this. Yeah.
I think so. All right, ready to start? We'll call the Plat Committee meeting to order. We'll roll call. Oh, pledge allegiance, I apologize.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now roll call.
Ms. Stoller.
Here.
Mr. Taylor.
Here.
Ms. Vukovic.
Here.
And we'll do the approval of the previous minutes from October 28th of 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we need to move on to the elections and appointments. Start off with the election of the president. Do we have a motion for the recommendation of president? How I say it? Nomination.
I'll make a motion to appoint Jason Taylor as the president.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then for the election of the vice president, do I have a motion, or I'll make a motion to nominate Megan Vukovic as the vice president?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now the appointment of the secretaries.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and I'll make a motion for items C through F, just to make a motion to appoint the secretaries that are outlined in the agenda, the recording secretary, the BZA legal counsel, and the legal publications, just as they're listed. I would make a motion to approve.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so now that move on to the public hearings. Item A, PP-21-15 Geist Manor. I think that's being presented by Bree King.
Bree King of Planning and Zoning. So I'll start with a bit of history. So this primary plat was originally approved in May of 2018. The work did not commence, and so now this plat has come back to be approved again. And now you can hear me. History was approved in 18, now it's coming back. So this is northeast of 113th and Florida Road. The consideration is to allow 47 single-family residential homes on a 37.46 acre lot. There are no waivers requested. The secondary plat and SIP were reviewed at TAC in January, and new architectural elevations were also approved at the PUD committee in January. The proposed lots meet the requirements of the PUD that were shown in the staff report. Vehicular access, there is an entrance off Florida Road, as well as a street stub to the north that will connect to Geist Manor, or to Milford Park, excuse me, that is a future residential subdivision. Sidewalks are being constructed along Florida Road as well as 113th and in the interior of the subdivision. There is a portion of the Geist Greenway as it travels along Florida Road that will also be included as part of this. As a response to a comment from planning, a path has been added between lots 6 and 7 to allow quicker access to the agri-park that is located to the south of 113th. The roads will be public, and the maximum cul-de-sac length is changed to 1,050 feet by the PUD. This development will connect to sewer and water, and the property has already been annexed. The environmental and resiliency features that are in this project include a tree conservation easement. This will benefit local wildlife and pollinators, as well as maintain a natural feature for the residents. The open space is provided as shown in Exhibit D of the PUD. This exhibit was recreated in the primary plat. I have not received any public comments up to this point about Geist Manor. We would like to, staff is supportive of the plat and recommends approval as a condition that all TAC comments are addressed.
Thank you, Bree. Are there any comments from the petitioner?
Yes, thank you. Tony Bagato with Lennar Homes. Address is 11555 North Meridian Street, Suite 400 in Carmel. Thank you. Yeah, Bree covered pretty much all of it. I was just going to highlight some of the history as well. You know, the PUD was approved in 2017, which included the open space that was designated to the city for the agri-park. And then the plat approved in 2018. And then in the UDO, there's a 3-year limit on plats, so it had expired, which is what brought us back. So we've revised the plat to be current with the new UDO and added the path that'll provide a connection there closer to the sidewalk and the residence for the cul-de-sac. This will be our state series homes, so the homes we build in Vermilion, these are our larger homes and higher end. So it'll be a good architectural look as you go up through this corridor in the kind of a state residential feel, which was the intent of the PUD. And the PUD committee did approve our home designs, so this is our final step in the process.
Thank you. Are there any public comments? Please step up to the podium, state your name and address.
Hi, can you hear me? Hi, my name is Madasar Athar, and I'm the resident of 15476 East 113th Street. So this actually location kind of is right next to my property. I think I had communicated, I forgot the name of the gentleman, at Lennar. I actually came to find out about this project because I had contacted the city about possibly getting some help with the sanitary sewerage and everything. So that's when I actually learned about this project. I've only been at my current home like 3.5, 4 months. I purchased it from the previous owner thinking that, you know, there was open space around it, and then that's okay. I think it's gonna be a beautiful project. So the concern that I have, you know, 2 or 3 things, and I had brought it to the attention of, from I think somebody at HWC and Lennar already. I had sent them a request if they would consider. So one is that I have small children. They're 6 years old twins. And I live with older parents, and they tend to forget where they are. So it was kind of easy to spot them if they wander around with the current setup. But I think being with that, you know, there's going to be development. I'm worried about their safety, and I'm worried about, you know, that they're going to go outside the boundary of because there's nothing there. So I had made a request to the construction folks that if they could possibly consider putting a fence along where my property is touching this particular subdivision that they're planning to build. So that was request number 1 because of safety and security. And my older parents, you know, they're 85, and that's my dad, and my mom is about in her 70s. So they have a lot of issues. Sometimes when they go out, they tend to just go wherever. So I think that might be helpful. The second request I had made to the city is that to see if there's a possibility, because I'm the only one in that particular area. There's nothing on my, you know, behind me or on my right or left, and there's a pond on the left side of me if you're on 113th Street. If there was any way to see if they can ease the burden of, you know, some of the utilities that we're trying to get through this development anyway, because I think they're gonna be bringing the utilities anyway. I don't know if it's gonna be, you know, coming from 113th or Florida, along with the sanitary sewerage if we can. So those are the 2 things that I had requested, but definitely the first one is our priority if we can get some help with that. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Tony, do you know who's had discussions?
Well,
from your team?
I received the email, and I did respond to him, and then I informed him that on our east property line, I mean, that's a tree preservation area, and there's a lot of terrain and wooded area there, as well as our pond. So The UDO doesn't require a fence, and we comply with all the standards, and I don't see that it merits it, given the wooded area. It would just be very difficult for us to even install it. Those homes are significantly away from his property. And when it comes to the utilities, I told him, we're still working out the design, but in this case, we're not bringing the utilities across 113th Street to the east. We're running them north up Florida Road into our subdivision. So to extend utilities beyond our requirement, usually the city or some utility would have to reimburse us to do above and beyond, and that's something that we wouldn't do unless there was an agreement with the utility to help pay for that, or if he wanted to pay for it.
With this particular, with the second request, understanding the tree preservation area and the distance from the property line, and your response to that, but with the potential for the property owner to be able to make that connection, is there an intent on the secondary plat process to add a general utility easement so that if he wanted to be able to connect in, it would be there and available across the common area?
No, I don't think that, we're not planning an easement along the common area.
Yeah, so here's the kind of the detailed view. So we don't have any utilities besides the discharge from our pond along there. So there's no plan. I mean, we could add like a 20-foot easement through there or something possibly, but we're not putting any facilities there.
Well, I mean, for the properties, I don't think a 20-foot would necessarily be necessitated for only a couple homes in that area to be able to make that connection. More of a service line scenario. But I would like for you to work with the engineering department to be able to determine where it could be placed to minimize any impacts to your development. And if it's just an easement or something further, work within the planning department as well as the engineering department to work through those.
Yeah, I would say it's a bit beyond the scope probably of this committee, but as you work through the technical advisory committee and the infrastructure through the improvement location permit, working with our engineering department to really determine the best location for either an easement or a stub for that future connection would be ideal.
I'd also like to see some type of border, some type of boundary put there, whether it's a fence, tree line, or something. I mean, I understand his concern, especially with kids in that pond. Is there any type of thing that we can do there for his property? I mean, it's not really a privacy thing with the pond and the tree line there. It would be more of a safety thing for his kids. Is that something that we can look at as well?
I mean, it's something we can look at, but it's hard to commit to today without looking at the terrain and what it would do to the tree line that we're trying to preserve. Again, it's not required under the zoning standards, and we comply with all the standards, so I don't think it could be added as a condition, but we would look at it.
And for the pond itself, there are safety signs that are required, correct, for any detention?
Correct, and there's also a safety shelf that's required a certain distance, so ponds are designed to be safe, as safe as they can be.
And just along those lines, and just as you go through the TAC process, the same thing, just work through it with the engineering department to see if there is anything that can be done to help it bring attention to the pond, understanding the residents' concerns. But I don't think there's any variances being requested at this time, so I'll ask for a motion.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve PP-21-15, really on the requirements that it meets all PUD requirements.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next up is PP-21-16, Highline at Delaware Park. Ross?
Thank you, Jason. Good afternoon, committee. Ross Hillary, Assistant Director of Planning and Zoning before you. Tonight, we have PP 21-16, which is High Line at Delaware Park, which is the primary plat. The petitioner is A&F Engineering on behalf of Envoy Incorporated. The scope of the project is a request for consideration of a primary plat to allow for a maximum of 8 lots on approximately 13.5 acres for a mixed-use development, which includes retail, a restaurant user, and multifamily. The current zoning is PUD, Delaware Park. The existing land use is vacant. The subject site is located southwest of the intersection of Lantern Road and 106th Street, east of Kincaid Drive, and north of Nightfall Lane. Here before you is a more accurate location of the overall project. The site plan and architecture was approved by the PUD committee in November of 2021. The Delaware Park PUD was approved by council in November of 2021, which included the concept plan for Area A, which is what we're looking at tonight. The primary plat and the ILP were both heard at the December 2021 TAC committee, and the secondary plat was heard at the January 2022 TAC committee. An easement vacation for 15 feet of a 30-foot drainage utility and sanitary sewer easement is planned to be heard at the February 21st City Council meeting. This subdivision will result in a maximum of 8 parcels, with Lot 1 and 2 that you can see on the site plan here for the development use. Lot 3 to be established as common area for a drainage easement. And then Block D, which is on the north side, we'll have a maximum subdivision of 5 potential lots. We're doing this now so they don't come before you again to do another primary plat. We'd be able to subdivide that during our secondary plat process. In addition, the petitioner is requesting approximately 1.07 acres of new public right-of-way to be dedicated with the addition of what is shown as Front Street, which would connect Kincaid Drive to Lantern Road. But we'll note that all TAC comments from planning and engineering have been addressed. Staff does recommend that the plat committee hold a public hearing and recommends approval of the plat with the condition that City Council vacates the 15-foot of the 30-foot drainage utility and sanitary sewer easement. It does meet all local state requirements. Petitioner is here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ross. I'll open up for public comment. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close it. Karen, I'm guessing you're here. If you want to add to anything, fine. So I'll open up to the committee to ask any questions, if any.
Yeah, I do have a really minor question. The hatched area that we see on the western side of the site, what is that identifying? I didn't see the plot.
That is the vacation. So it's a 30-foot drainage utility, or I think it's drainage, sanitary sewer, and public access easement. And so we are vacating 15 feet of that 30.
Gotcha.
So that hatched area is that vacated, or the portion that we are going to get vacated in the next council meeting.
And once that's been vacated, do you intend to submit an updated plat kind of showing removing that? Or is the intent just to leave the plat as it sits today?
So we can, I guess if we could record the secondary plat after that vacation has happened, and then it should clean everything up. And so it should, I don't think we would have to come back here, correct? And then we could just clean that up for the secondary plat. So the secondary plat could be recorded after that vacation has occurred.
Yep, that makes sense. It might just be helpful for future staff as we refer back to this, just to put a label on there like easement to be vacated.
Sure.
And then identifying the existing instrument number or something, just for our own reference.
Okay, no problem.
The other question that I would have would be, as you know, we're working through the right in, right out onto 106th. I don't know if this accurately represents any improvements, so we would need that commitment to, as part of this project, to dedicate that right away so that that right out could still be allowed. So I just want to get that commitment, and if we need to work through that through the TAC process, we can do so, but I figure streamline, we may want to figure out.
So you're talking about the intersection of Kincaid and
106.
106.
Yeah. this is one of those scenarios that we have been working parallel tracks, and I think we're kind of finally at that final stage.
I think that, I think we can take a look at that, and I mean, the Block D is the, that northern piece, and we really have not looked at doing any improvements there at that point in time. Then we can, you know, dedicate any right-of-way that would be needed, but there was, you know, what the plat is showing here is it's a 65.2 half right-of-way, so it was a 50-foot right-of-way along 106, and there was already, it has already been dedicated, a portion of that. So I'm not sure that you really need more, but we can, I'm happy to look at that with you later.
Yeah, please, let's work through that through the TAC process. I don't want to add another step of, you know, platting or anything of that nature. So if there is the ability to do it on the back end, we can do so.
Okay.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve on the condition that the easement is vacated and on the condition that the label be added to that easement vacation on the primary plat.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks.
I think we're at the end. I gotta look at the agenda. It's my cheat sheet. Do we have any old business?
Staff, do we have any old business or new business?
I have none.
Seeing none. Do we have any staff communication? First Wednesday of the month, is that at 4 p.m.? Are we still okay with that?
Yes, so the plat meeting has been shifted to the first Wednesday of every month. So you'll see that reflected on the updated annual meeting calendar.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Oh,
Second.
findings of facts. Apologize. Thank you. All right. We got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.